One of the things that I wanted to do visually as a filmmaker was to share images that would ignite empathy in the people around the world who would watch. I wanted to make sure that very quickly people around the world understood the degradation, the subjugation, the hardships of the Dalit people. So, can you imagine me calling you and saying, "I'd like you to play Dr. Ambedkar"? I mean, he stepped right into it. But the two men actually performed the tasks of manual scavenging. We worked with an advocacy and activist group in Delhi, and so the two men. One of the things that I thought was so informative to me is before I asked them what do you do to get ready to do this work? Do you do you pray? Do you put your tools together? Can you show me a little bit about what you do? And they showed me on camera the oil that they put on their bodies and how they bring oil um, before they go into the tanks. And that of everything that I filmed in this movie, the tenderness between the Dalit people, the protection, the community, and the Ambedkarite community has welcomed me in a very beautiful way, and so I'm grateful for all that I've learned.
Hello and Jai Bhim. My name is Sahil Valmiki, and you're watching Dalit Desk and the Voice Media. We have a very special guest joining us today, a writer, a producer, a director, the phenomenal Ava DuVernay, whose recent film Origin has sparked conversation around social global issues. Hello and welcome, Ms. DuVernay. Thank you for joining us here at Dalit Desk. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be with you.
So since we have very limited time, so I'll keep my questions concise. So starting, the very first question I have is the film has a scene where two-person from the Dalit community, specifically, if I would say, from sweeper and manual scavenging caste, entering a tank full of human excreta, and that's a very uh, important scene and very heartbreaking scene. I just wanted to know from you, Ms. DuVernay, what were what were you thinking when you were shooting that particular scene?
Yes, sir.
What were the thoughts that were going on in your head?
Yes, sir. Well, one of the things that I wanted to do visually as a filmmaker was to share images that would ignite empathy in the people around the world who would watch. I wanted to make sure that very quickly people around the world understood the degradation, the subjugation, the hardships of the Dalit people. There are many stories that I heard that Dalit scholars, that Dalit students, that Dalit journalists shared with me about all kinds of horrible treatment historically and now. But as a filmmaker, I'm trying to choose something that will make someone anywhere in the world stop and say, wait a minute, that can't be. And when I saw and heard stories of manual scavenging, that to me, I thought would create a visual that would stop the world and make them pay attention to the Dalit people in a different way. And that was my goal. So that was at the forefront of my mind as we designed the scene.
Yeah, exactly. Ms. DuVernay, being from the same community, the manual scavenging community within the Dalit community, I strongly feel that it's I'm thankful to you that at least a conversation is starting on a global level on this issue. So I'm really thankful to you.
Thank you. Thank you. This film is a primer. It barely scratches the surface. I know that it doesn't do everything, But the hope is that it introduces people to these ideas and that people are able to investigate, learn, and study more on their own regarding Dalit people in India and across the diaspora.
Mr. Verney, depicting historical figures like Dr. Ambedkar comes with its own set of challenges and responsibilities. How easy or difficult it was for you to, depict Dr. Ambedkar's little journey?
Not easy. I was very scared. I equate it to as an African American person. I prefer that African American filmmakers tell stories about African American history and culture because there is a different depth of understanding. I like to watch films by Brazilian filmmakers telling me and showing me life in Brazil as opposed to an American coming in and doing it. And I felt the same way about this. I did not feel like I wanted to be or should have been the person introducing Dr. Ambedkar to so many people in the United States and elsewhere who have never heard of him, remarkably. And yet, it was a part of Isabel Wilkerson's book and a part of the story that he's one of the leading minds and thinkers on caste. So if you're doing a film on caste, you can't not have him. So I was in a bit of this, conflict with myself. And many Dalit scholars, students, activists that I spoke to said, just do it, don't leave him out. And so I did my best to try to show a little mini biopic in the film of his life from a child to his adulthood, to just introduce, to just start to share with people who are not familiar. And I'll tell you, one of the biggest thrills of this experience was learning about Dr. Ambedkar, learning about the way in which he is revered. All of I've read the speeches, the writings, the books, seeing the ways in which his principles are followed. And the Ambedkarite community has welcomed me in a very beautiful way. And so I'm grateful for all that I'm learning.
Gaurav Patania has also he has done tremendous work. He is
Yes.
uh, we're seeing the posters, and I've seen in the movie itself. He has done tremendous job.
Yes, he well, I'm glad that that people think so. Can you imagine me calling you and saying, "I'd like you to play Dr. Ambedkar"? I mean, he stepped right into it and he did his best. I said to him, "Grow up, you have to eat more. You have to be a giant. You have to." And he worked very hard, and he also was instrumental in helping me make sure that every single person who plays a Dalit in the film is actually a Dalit person. So I wanted to make sure that I was not pulling people from different castes to portray Dalit people. And it was difficult to find in some of the places that we were filming, but he helped me. So he did so much more than just be an actor in the film. He was a real pleasure to be with, and I'm so thankful to him.
This brings me to the next question, Mr. Verney. You said you made sure that uh, everyone who's playing a Dalit in the movie has they have to be from the Dalit community itself.
Yes,
There's a scene I was reading somewhere that you said the scene that the person enters the septic tank was not an actor, and he was someone who does that work.
that's correct. So that is not a real septic tank. It's movie magic.
Yeah, yeah.
So of course I did not ask anyone to do that on camera. But the two men actually performed the tasks of manual scavenging. We worked with an advocacy and activist group in Delhi, and so the two men. One of the things that I thought was so informative to me is before I asked them what do you do to get ready to do this work? Do you pray? Do you put your tools together? Can you show me a little bit about what you do? And they showed me on camera the oil that they put on their bodies and how they bring oil um, before they go into the tanks. And that of everything that I filmed in this movie, the tenderness between the Dalit people, the protection, the community, was something that was very important for me to show, as we also show the challenges that are being faced through the work itself. And so I'm very grateful to those men and the whole community for teaching me and showing me what they wanted me to film.
Professor Yingde must have brought some unique perspective to the film. Can you share how this collaboration influenced the authenticity and depth of storytelling?
Yes, I could not have done much of anything without him. He was a guide. I got to know him personally. We spent a lot of time together. He traveled to the United States and did work with us in the United States, and on the continent and in India. We spoke constantly and are still in contact. Any question that I had, he answered. He was also very making sure that I had all the information that I needed. I'll tell you one thing that he told me. He would tell me little things. He said, "Ava, when the boy is drinking water from the jug, he should hold like this, right? Not just open his mouth." I said, "Oh, but I saw somebody just open in their mouth." He said, "No, no, no. You have to do the hands." He said, there would not be there needs to be a man holding a sign for her at the airport. We would never let someone just because she was just going to get into anything. There must be someone there who would pick her up. We would never allow someone to just walk into the city on their own. Little pieces like that, some of which I was able to fix, some of which I couldn't fix because we'd already photographed it. But he was constantly telling me it would be this way, it would be this way. At one point, when she's going to the hotel, you'll see, he had said, well, would she be going to a fancier hotel? And she's a tourist. But we talked about, Isabel Wilkerson's actual experience and wanting to be with the people, wanting to observe as a journalist, as an author, and not be in the fancy hotel. So we were constantly talking about everything. The way that Dr. Ambedkar's suit is in the film, the way someone is holding a book. It was really Dr. Yange who was by my side through a lot of that and was trying to push me in the right direction, and I'm very grateful to him. Also, he did not want to be an actor in the movie, but I thought he did a really wonderful job in playing himself, because who are you going to get to portray him? You can't find anyone to be him. He's so unique.
Exactly.
So yeah, it was wonderful to work with him, and I'm grateful that he took time.
How difficult it was for you to create a storyline from the USA, the blacks in the USA and the Jews in the Germany, and coming to the Dalits in India. How difficult was it? I mean, what was how was the process like when you were writing the story?
Yes, thank you. Well, I followed Isabel Wilkerson's book as much as possible in terms of some of the bigger pieces of the puzzle in history. I interviewed her for a couple of years to get her personal story, and then I tried to braid those together in the screenplay, and that's what we worked on. One of the things in the book that I wanted to show more of was India, and so, but I it wasn't in the book, and I had to do that research, and that's why Dr. Yange was so critical to helping me enter into that, introducing me to other journalists, scholars, giving me books to read, making sure that, have you seen this speech of Dr. Ambedkar? You should look at this transcript, pushing things my way, teaching me quickly. When we went to Delhi, making sure that people were around us to show us things, help us through the museum, for example, welcoming us with open arms when we went and we're filming there. So So it was difficult, but it was also a joy to learn more about the culture and the history. And I only learned a bit, but I put everything I could into the movie.
Ms. DuVernay, people here in India are waiting to watch the film, and they're wondering when will it be uh, in theaters here in India. So people who are waiting, how can and when they will be able to watch the movie here in India?
Well, what I'll say is we need help. We need help. We don't have a way into India right now. Our American distributor has not figured out a way to be in India. So if anyone hears this on your show who has any idea about it, please ask them to contact you, and then you would be in touch with me. We need ideas. We need leads. We need connections. We want to be able to show it and share it with as many people in India as possible. And so that is something that we are desperately trying to figure out. We're an independent film, so it's not a big studio picture, and so that's why we have to go an untraditional route.
Yeah. I will surely connect to you if that happens. And again, I would like to congratulate you, Mr. Verney, for Origin, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so
And
much for having me.
best wishes from Team Dalit Desk.
Thank you so much. I love your Instagram account. I love what you're doing, and I just applaud you and say keep going.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It really
Thank
means
you.
a lot.
Thank you.